All right, we are here on the Armstrong roof. We have got our shingle, which is the GAF Natural Shadows Weatherwood. We've got quite a bit of coverage on the rear of the roof, so we just picked a shingle that has wind damage on it to replace here. We're gonna go ahead and get started. This tab here is separated, so we're probably gonna lose it as we start to remove this shingle, but that's okay, because this is the one that we're replacing here. So we're gonna unseal all of the shingles around here so that they can be easily manipulated, and we unseal them all the way down so they don't pick a point and kind of crease in the corner here. We want to give the roof all the chance we can to be able to bend for us. Unfortunately, this roof's got quite a bit of granule loss and age, so we're already kind of hearing the cracking and getting a lot of these granules falling out just due to the lack of moisture now because of age, and then the pliability is gone. Pliability is something's ability to bend without breaking, and we've lost almost all of it. So we got a nail, just so you can see, we got a nail line here, and then we're gonna have another nail line up here, and that's why we're unsealing all these shingles here, just to make sure that we have the best chance at getting the shingle separated and the damaged shingle out without creasing the surrounding roof or damaging it all. We are getting a little bit of mat transfer right here. The shingle wasn't really wanting to separate. We've got a pretty sharp tool here that's designed specifically for this, to separate shingles, so we're a little more skilled than most, but we're still getting a little bit of mat transfer here. And we unseal all the way down so that way we don't have any creasing where we shouldn't. Okay, so this is the shingle we're working with here. We're gonna go ahead and start pulling these nails out. I'm just barely gonna lift the shingle at all, just so that I can see where the nails are and we can do minimal manipulation. We don't have to dig around for them. If this roof's in code, we should run into 5 nails. It's looking weird under here. Looks like we may have the shingle torn here from mat transfer. I'm actually not seeing a whole lot of nails. I don't see hardly any nails in there. That's very odd. That's okay. We'll go ahead and move on here. There doesn't seem to be any nails in that bottom row. Okay, we got one here, kind of hanging on. Okay, got a second one there. I'm not seeing any more nails here. Very odd. All right, so for whatever reason, we got 1, 2, 3, looks like may have been 4 nail holes. That's gonna be out of code. Anyway, we've got some mat transfer here, which is basically where the shingles have fused together. So this shingle has torn off, and it is now on the back of this shingle under here. And you can see that across this line here. All these areas where it's torn right here, especially right here with this hunk missing. There's quite a substantial bit over here where I was explaining where I felt I was running into it. That's where the shingle's being ripped apart. So now we're gonna have a lot of aggregate material up in here, stuck to the sealant line, and it can't be removed. So, this shingle right here is almost assuredly not going to be able to seal correctly. With that mat transfer there, that's gonna be a repair fail. But we're gonna go ahead and keep moving for diligence. And we have got ourselves a 2-layer roof. I want to make sure you guys can see that under there real good, those shingles. So what's going to happen now, we're going to finish this repair for diligence to show you guys, but we don't nail into multiple layers at Southern. We want shingle on top of synthetic underlayment, on top of a good clean nailing surface, whatever type of decking this roof has, or boards it may have. So having that extra layer of basically mush, because it's going to be even older than this roof here, and you can see the state of this roof. It's going to have molded and mildew. It's going to start getting kind of squishy in there. These nails are the length they are for a reason. they're that way to be in code so that they don't hit AC lines in the roof by being too long, or by allowing the shingles to fall off the roof by being too short. So with that extra layer of shingle in there, especially with it being squishy and moving around, you're gonna have nailing issues. So that is another factor here. You know, we got the mat transfer, tearing the shingle, and then the 2 layers that this repair would fail. Again, we're gonna complete it for diligence, and we obviously don't wanna leave a hole in her roof. So straight away, there's a pretty decent color differential here. The new shingle's very gray, very dark and cold color on the cold spectrum. The rest of the roof is pretty hot. This shingle has no red at all. There's no red in this shingle, and there is a lot of red on this roof. Also, this shingle has light blue in it. There's a lot of these light blue, baby blue, robin's egg blue granules, and there's none of that on this roof. So we got blue in here and red up here. I mean, they're both gray, but this is a dark blue gray, and this is a light white hot gray. So substantial color difference here. We also seem to have a length disparity of about 1/2 inch. So we don't cut shingles in an open field. We've got to use a human hand through 12 or 13 inches of a rubberized material, mat material. And then you can see how even a 1/4 inch can ruin the shingle's ability to seal with that overlap here. So same thing applies if it's cut 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch too short. You're gonna have water getting in there, getting in the nail heads, and we don't want that. So let's go ahead and measure our exposure before we put this new one in. Make sure we got the same exposure. So the old shingle is gonna be 13 1/4, 13 1/2, 13 1/4. And the new shingle, we'll just measure it really quick just to make sure it's the same. Yeah, we got the same size here. So shouldn't have exposure issues. Although, again, with the length, you know, that's, you know, it's not good faith to cut shingles, to have aggregate material being put on this roof. We're gonna go ahead and move on for diligence. Now, there's a lot of talk about this portion of the repair, and we go by the manufacturer, that's the people who made the shingle, their installation guidelines. There's a PDF. You know, they say that the shingle needs to be lifted as high as it needs to drive the nail flush. So when we get in here and we go to lift the shingle, we're not gonna nail under here, right? This is just to show you. This shingle here, the new one, it can be manipulated 150, 200 more, as many times as you want. You can also brush it. I can brush this shingle all day. None of these granules are coming out. You can sit here all day and brush this thing. It's malleable, it's pliable, it's strong, it has its moisture. That's what you wanna see in repairability. So, and these other shingles here, even though I've unsealed it all the way down, you can see it's so stiff. See the difference here? How just barely, it's barely moving on the corner, right? Because it's super rubbery. Whereas with this shingle, when we go to lift it, you can see it lifting all the way down here. It's coming off the edge of the roof, and I've barely even started to lift. So it is very, this is a stiff shingle, you know, 3, 4, 5 times stiffer than the new one that's going in. So I've got to be able to get the magnetic hatch hammer in here to clear the sealant line, right? I can't nail on or under the sealant line. You're gonna have leaks or it's not gonna seal. So in order for me to get above that line, I've got to lift the shingle high enough to drive the nail flush. So obviously we're probably gonna get some creasing here. We're gonna go by code 1 in the end there. And you can see already as I go to lift this whole tab is bubbling off the roof, as well as it creasing here now. And again, as I lift, you're getting lift all the way down here because of how brittle this shingle is. So this is a shingle with a nail. We're gonna put a nail on the end of this one here too. Okay. We're gonna move on. Getting attacked by a bee up here. All right, so we're gonna do 2 groupings of 2, which is manufacturer installation guidelines. They like 1 in the end, a grouping of 2, another grouping of 2, and then 1 in the end. So as I'm doing this, you can see we're getting full delamination here. You know, the shingles are just literally falling apart all around this as we're doing it. And we're, you know, I'm a pretty small guy. I've done quite a few of these. I don't have, you know, monstrous hands and arms, so, you know, I'm doing my best. But again, you know, the whole shingle is very brittle. And just falling apart. Second grouping of 2. We're going to do our last one here. So it looks like this is outside. We don't have to nail over here. All right, that one's already got a nail. Okay. Again, delamination, cracking. You can hear it cracking. And then as we're nailing this in, I'm not going to brush this shingle the way I did on this one, because these granules just fall right off when you go to brush it. So we're gonna do our grouping of 2. We're gonna drive 2 more, which is gonna get us in code. And that's going to be a little bit less manipulation. We've already failed 5 or 6 times over here. Full delamination, creasing and tearing in the corner. I mean, the tab, I haven't even got it to where the hammer can go in yet, and the tab is completely separated there. So, you know, we're going to have, that's identical to our old shingle here. So this shingle failed due to wind. Now this shingle is going to fail due to wind. In the exact same spot. So it's just a domino effect on this roof. We are going to drive this last nail though, because I want her to be in code, even though this repair has failed. All right, so we have a length disparity. We have blue and robin's egg blue, gray in here. The rest of the roof has reds and oranges on it. There's no red in this shingle at all. I mean, you can see that on the video. 2 layers does not provide a good nailable surface. Shouldn't repair things that are more than 1 layer. And then obviously the brittleness, you know, you have delamination of all these tabs now. I'm not going to tear them off. You got to see that one really well. And the creasing, tearing in the corners. It is very obvious, and my professional opinion, that this roof cannot and should not be repaired. It must be replaced as a whole due to the lack of pliability, lack of malleability, color differential, size differential, and then it being 2 layers. Thank you guys so much.